Kind of a big story that I find rather surprising. Colt suspends production of rifles AR-15 for civilian market. At this timing, man, I do not trust why they're doing this, and it's kind of weird. Colt suspending production of an AR-15 is going to be really, really, really bad for business, but I have some theories as to why they're doing it. I have to imagine anybody who wants to buy a gun from Colt, or the 99% of them, are going to be in favor of the Second Amendment and the right to own an AR-15. So why would they stop production? Well, according to them, it's about, civilian capacity. Oh, it's just that, all the stores have them and we can sell. That's no big deal. And we're going to do government contracts anyway. However, experts disagree. And I actually agree with the experts. I think this is a PR stunt, a pro-gun PR stunt. But hear me out. Let's read the news first and see what's going on. But I have to do this because I'm talking about guns. YouTube is going to derank this one into oblivion. Go to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There are multiple ways that you can give: PayPal, crypto, a physical address. The best thing you can do, share this video, especially when talking about guns. There was a point where Google Shopping banned any combination of gun. So the thing I like to cite, which is so hilarious, is an anime called Gundam Wing. It's about giant robots. But the word Gundam, just a Japanese name or whatever it means, wouldn't pop up. You couldn't search for toys because Google blanket banned GUN in that order in any capacity. That's what YouTube does when you talk about guns. They actually have a special category where if you talk about guns, they say they'll remove your ads. So anyway, that's a whole other issue. Not a gun person. You guys know this. I don't own any guns. Okay, I might in the future though, because, well, I'm not going to get into it. But I believe the Constitution was written for a reason. I believe it does make sense to update the Constitution in terms of SCOTUS rulings. And a really good example of updating would be like digital technology, protecting the First Amendment on the internet, protecting our search history from unlawful search and seizure, right? That's what I mean. Internet didn't exist back when the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution. They couldn't have foreseen it. We still have our right to privacy. The same goes for 2A. And I want to stress this before we read this. The whole argument from Beto O'Rourke and seizing AR-15s is ridiculous, considering you can 3D print a gun. You can there's at-home machining tools now. You can make ghost AR-15s. They can't do anything about it. The cat's out of the bag. We need something else. This is an archaic waste of time. But let's read about why Colt is shutting down. The Examiner reports, Washington Examiner. Gun manufacturer Colt announced that it would suspend the production of commercial rifles, including AR-15s. Colt's chief executive officer, Dennis Velu, said in a statement Thursday that the suspension doesn't mean the company would permanently halt the production of its rifles, but the market for the guns has experienced significant excess manufacturing capacity. There is an adequate supply for modern sporting rifles for the foreseeable future, Colt said. Colt said that it would continue producing rifles for the military and law enforcement contracts, and that high-level contracts have absorbed the company's manufacturing capacity for rifles. In terms of the civilian market, the company will continue to sell and expand its network of dealers for its 1911s and revolvers. At the end of the day, we believe it is good sense to follow consumer demand and to adjust as market dynamics change. Colt has been a stout supporter of the Second Amendment for over 180 years, remains so, and will continue to provide its customers with the finest quality firearms in the world. Questionable timing. And Beto O'Rourke is capitalizing on this. That, to me, is disgusting. Colt, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You are feeding into his hysteria. Rifles do not account for the majority of gun violence at all, and they're playing this game. Look, I have no problem talking about background checks or whatever. I hear the arguments from the conservatives. I think we just have a conversation, and it might result in me being like, okay, we'll protect 2A, we'll walk away from it. Beto O'Rourke is doing the opposite. He's causing as much damage as possible, because I assure you, legal firearm owners probably know better than non-owners as to how you can help solve these problems. It's mind-blowing to me that Beto doesn't understand what an AR-15 is. And these news outlets are really annoying when they call it an automatic weapon. It's not. But let me tell you my theory as to what Colt may be doing. There's a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat from Beto, and he's calling out the AR-15. This is bad, okay? It's short-term bad. But you know what's better? Why don't you just make a new weapon? Now, I'll say ultimately it's still bad because they're giving an inch. And this is all they need to take a mile. Beto, of course, now saying Colt Firearms just announced they're stopping production of AR-15s, and he's going to use this to prove that even gun manufacturers are concerned about people holding weapons. I assure you do not want to live in a society where the government is allowed weapons that you are not. And I'll stress this point too. It's really annoying because, again, not a gun person. I've lived in states where you can walk into a store and buy a gun, okay, with an ID, like Virginia. Florida's pretty easy. I've never bought one. I had an air rifle, and that was just for fun, right? Shooting pellets, single load. But, well, actually, let's read a little bit more because I want to see what the experts have to say before I start getting into all of my thoughts and everything. Otherwise, I'm going to end up ranting for 10 minutes and not actually talk about the stories themselves. So, from Time Magazine. Colt will stop producing AR-15 rifles for consumers, the Connecticut-based gunmaker announced Thursday. In a statement, Colt's CEO, we read all this, so let's get to the experts. Despite their statement, experts wonder whether the company made the decision with other factors in mind. So this is what I was going to get at, and I'll guide it through here. The public is getting very alarmed about what's happening with assault rifles. No, they're not, because assault rifles aren't for sale, but anyway, in the hands of potential mass shooters. That's not true. John Donahue, a Stanford law professor with expertise in gun policy, tells Time. Colt may just be feeling better to get out of that particular market, and they're offering this purely economic manufacturing argument rather than addressing the political realities right now as the justification for this decision. And that really does seem like what's happening. Now, it's possible. I wonder. There are a lot of guns that are basically the same thing as an AR-15. Magazine-fed semi-automatic rifles. They're not fully automatic. They're not assault rifles. There are many different kinds that do the same exact thing. They're functionally the same. But only the AR-15, Beto? Only the AK-47 civilian variant, which is not automatic? Okay. I believe it's automatic. So my question is, why couldn't someone just make another kind of gun that's not technically a rifle or an AR-15 and call it something else? If there's already a ton of guns that do the same thing and function the same way, now admittedly, Colt said rifles as well. But if the left doesn't know anything about guns, why not just change the name? They're like, oh, this is called the RA-51. Don't ban that. It's got a wooden stock. It makes me wonder. Now, I get it, though. You give an inch to take a mile. When they come out and do this, the Democrats jump all over it, and it's bad news. Colt should not have backed down. But again, what I was saying earlier is you don't want to live in a society where the government has access to things you don't. Like, why shouldn't civilians have a right to protect themselves the same way politicians do? There is a net benefit to, being able to have weapons. But the point I wanted to make earlier, and I wanted to jump to this first. Not a gun person, as I was saying before. One of the best points when the left argues, but you can't own Scud missiles, you can't own a SAM site, blah, 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 stupid argument. You look at Afghanistan, look at Vietnam, okay? When the citizenry is armed, tyranny is impossible. That's it. End of story. You cannot have a communist dictatorship, a fascist dictatorship with an armed population. It just won't work. It would destabilize too quickly. Look, you can't occupy streets with a fighter jet. You can't, occupy a government building with a Scud missile, with a cruise missile. The left likes to say, well, the right thinks they have a right to bear arms to protect themselves from the government, but the government has nukes. Are you saying you're going to nuke your own country? No, of course not. That's stupid. But why are they saying it? I have no idea. The point is, a nuclear bomb cannot control territory. The only thing that can are people with guns. In my opinion, the Second Amendment was not designed to allow the citizenry to fight against its own tyrannical government, as many people say. It's actually much simpler than that. It was to allow the citizenry to defend itself from anything and anyone. So, listen, 2A says a well-regulated militia being necessary, for a free state, yada, yada, the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. What I think that means is, no matter who the threat is, be it our own government, a foreign government, or otherwise, an armed population will not be oppressed by anyone. That's it. A lot of people like to say it's about, preventing tyranny within our own government. Some others say it's about protecting us from, a foreign invasion. And the left seems to think it means having an army, which they're wrong. A militia is, my understanding, when the citizenry come up and band together with their own arms. The government will never become tyrannical, and foreign governments can't invade because of the Second Amendment. So, listen, I think it's a problem that crazy people get access to high-powered rifles and go on rampages. There's a lot of people who say mental health. There's a lot of people who say ban guns. Well, banning guns is wrong, and mental health isn't a complete solution. I think whatever is causing this is a combination of the media. I don't want to make this video too long, so I apologize. But it's a combination of the media, it's mental health, it's a breakdown of societal norms. It is a loss of purpose. It is complicated, and there may not be one solution to all of this. Certainly, one solution is, can we talk about preventing these crazy people from getting high-powered rifles? Why we should punish law-abiding citizens who have done nothing wrong? It makes no sense. But I think we can bring everyone together, have a conversation, but the left doesn't know anything about guns. Beto's talking about weapons of war. The AR-15 isn't. And I'm not even a gun person. I'm preaching to the choir. It's pointless. Sorry, you guys get it. What's the point of me even talking about it? I got another segment coming up for you in a few minutes. Stick around. I'll see you there.